Prey, the newest Predator movie. A follow-up / prequel to the beloved Keegan-Michael Key franchise starter. Predator prequel that takes place in 1719, I believe. Like, I guess it's colonial America, but in like the Native American setting.
How is it?
I genuinely thought it was top 3 movies of this year so far.
Ooh,
very, very good.
Very rare
I
for
think,
a Predator movie.
Yes, of the one I've seen, it was top 3 worst movies of that year, actually. I think you would really, really like it. It is, fantastic. It's pretty much what we were saying when the trailers came out of, like, this is how you should do a sequel to a franchise. Like, I guess, it's the exact opposite of the 2018 one, where that was, like, just a generic modern remake reboot sort of thing of, like,
this is a more unique kind of thing.
You take it, especially with these franchises, where it reminded me a lot of, like, the original Terminator, and I haven't seen Alien, but, like, I think this is kind of a vibe of that, where, like, you bring it down to basics where it's interesting because it's this, like, insane threat, and you have to fight it with such basic tools and, like,
bows and arrows,
tricking it, and like outsmarting, and, like, instead of just, like, here, like, oh, we have to stop its ships, like, here's an even bigger machine gun, Keegan-Michael Key, like, in
take that, Keegan.
In this one, it brings it much more back to that, and it's also just a super creative, like, set, like, I can't remember the last sort of film I saw in this setting specifically, and it's just a perfect way to take it there, and then it's just really well executed. It has some awesome action scenes, some really great, like, hand-to-hand stuff, and the Predator gets to do just some brutal, just everything you want, like, you want to see just the Predator just rip through people and just fucking, like, all of its gadgets and shit, fucking, like, violent as hell. And
do they have a fighting chance, these people?
Yeah, well,
Without
yes
spoiling.
and no. Yeah, well, it does a really good job of, like, of course you have to suspend your disbelief a little bit, but, like, it does a really good job of showing, without spoiling it, I think this kind of, you could expect this, the Predator basically tears through most people for the whole thing. Like, it's a lot of the Predator scenes are like, all right, check this shit out. Like, this is gonna be pretty good. But when there is some success, whatever degree that is too, I won't spoil, like, you can believe it the way it's been set up, and and that's, again, just so much more satisfying, and like so much more interesting. The lead is really good. I think this is her, like, feature or like her kind of breakout role.
Okay.
It's the director of 10 Cloverfield Lane, which is another amazing movie. So, like, that's a Dan Trachtenberg, I believe. So that's a director to keep an eye on.
Dan Trachtenberg.
Yeah, I will say the only complaints I have, sometimes, like, it does a really good job of establishing, like, this atmosphere of this time period. Sometimes the costumes do look a little cheap, and, like, the sets, and I think that's because some parts of the movie are, and this sounds like such a douchey, like, film student thing to say, but, like, they're kind of lit a little, it's a little bright, I guess.
The lighting in one of these scenes was
clearly
two tinges too light to be in the proper American forest.
The moon wouldn't actually make that kind of light if you think about it. It's just like, you know,
the silhouette was a few shades too light, honestly.
Where sometimes, like, I don't know, it can make it look a little cheaper. Like, I'm trying to think of an example. I think there was a superhero thing recently where it's like, it looks a little cosplay, where, like, because it's a little too bright. So there are a couple moments like that where it takes you out of it for a second, and there's a little bit of, like, kind of goofy dialogue and acting at times.
Okay.
But generally speaking, like, the acting's quite good. Generally speaking, the visuals and costumes and whatnot are very good. And generally speaking, just a fucking awesome movie. And it has, like, last thing I'll say, a great, really clever story that, again, is something a lot of these movies ignore now, where it's just, like, let's just do a remake of something because people know this. But this works completely if you don't know the franchise, where it's like, it ties it in very cleverly that the Predator won't attack, like, something that it doesn't view as a threat. And then the whole, like, kind of theme of the movie is this Native American woman who's, like, you know, not treated seriously and not taken,
so she's not taken
seen
as a threat.
And then it ties into, like, her as a character growing. And it's like, it also has the cutest movie dog. Just, like, the
Does
best.
the dog die?
I won't tell you. He's just the best good boy. I love him.
Good boy.
He's so good.
Bana, bana. Bana, bana.